All right, well, a pleasant good afternoon to those of you who are viewing us right now live on the VC3 platforms on the VC3 Facebook page. And if my cameraman would nod, I'm guessing VC3 TV. Also, yes, so we're live on VC3 TV as well. Welcome to the running of the 2023 Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championships Road Relay. All right, we're going to be taking you through this event here for the balance of the afternoon. I am Khalil Cato, and with me here is Mr. Keith Joseph, and we together will be as I said, taking you through this event here for the balance of this afternoon in what is basically, Keith, the return of the road relay event to our inter-school championships.
Yeah, just like we had a couple of weeks ago, the return of the inter-secondary schools cross-country championships just on the other side on the tarmac, on and around the tarmac actually. And it's a welcome return. I think that it's good to have the event back and also to have 12 entries in both the male and the female categories, Khaled.
Yes, of course, of course. So what we'll do right now is just basically set up what you will be seeing here this afternoon. So we are situated just outside the administrative center at the ARNOS VALE Sports Complex. This is the finish line area. As a matter of fact, the finish line is situated just behind us there, where that white van is probably turning off. Is it in the shot? It's probably not in the shot. It's turning off right there. The race begins at Peruvian VALE, and there are 6 legs. Each leg a distance of, if memory serves me correctly, I think 1.3 kilometers. So the legs will run from Peruvian VALE is where it starts. The second leg will take over at the intersection to turn into the Argyle International Airport. The third leg will be in Stubbs at the bridge that would take you up to Victoria Village. So there are 2 established bridges in Stubbs, not the bridge at the primary school, sorry, the bridge, the next bridge, which is at the gap to go up to Victoria Village. The next leg will then take over at Pitmaster in Diamond. That's on the Diamond stretch for those of you who will be familiar with the Diamond Dairy area. Pitmaster is situated there. That leg will run from there, and then we'll go to the next leg, which ends at Big John's shop in Prospect. Now, Big John shop is located just past Git's Supermarket. It's that shop that is painted red, of course, a particular drink brand. Following that, the next leg then takes over at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College gap on the main road, just at Mariners Inn, where where you turn off to go into the community college. And then that is the start of the final leg, which will then take the athletes from there and will bring them to the finish line area here this afternoon. And again, as we said, we have 12 teams, males and females, that are taking part in this race this afternoon.
So that gives us a total of 24 teams overall, and of course, the ones to look out for in the if we go by anything that we had in the cross-country championships, we would have had the Barley Warriors, as they call themselves, Barley Secondary School Warriors. They dominated the girls section, and the St. Martin Secondary School dominated the boys section. And are we likely to see a ding-dong battle between those 2 teams again?
Yes, of course. Actually, no, Trumaka. I think Trumaka won the boys, but St. Martin's was up in the running there as well. And it's quite fitting, I guess, considering that St. Martin's, one of the PE teachers at St. Martin's is the, as we say, stalwart distance runner, former stalwart distance runner in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in person of Baroness Valentine.
That we've seen significant growth in the North Leeward teams, particularly in the distance events. And then, of course, the Barley Secondary School Warriors, they were champions in the male and female divisions of the Inter-Schools Championships track and field segment last year. Yes. And they would be trying to get a repeat, while the grammar school, of course, last Saturday at the team athletics relay championship, they displayed their 4x400 meter relay team that's planning to go to the Penn relays this year, and they did quite well. So we can expect that at least 4 of the 6 members are in good nick at this point. So it should be a very interesting thing among the men's. Among the girls, though, it's going to be it's difficult to see anybody coming close to the Barley Secondary School Warriors as we saw in the cross country, but you never know.
That's right. The race, on paper, as we would have it, the race might be for second, but again, as you say, you never know what will happen out there. Of course, as we run the event here this afternoon, we are we'll be appealing to the general public who are out there. If you're going to be on at any part of the route, probably taking in the athletes as they pass. Do so in a safe environment and ensure that there's no interference in the race as well. Probably as well for those of you who might be vehicular traffic as well. We have the assistance of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, who will be marshalling and making sure that all is safe for not only the runners but for traffic as well, because life goes on. Even though we're having our event, the regular run-of-the-mill traffic and run-of-the-mill activities will be going on. So of course it's all being combined here this afternoon.
Well, the organizing committee did request 3 motorcyclists from the police department, largely because once there's a tendency for the traffic to pay attention to the lead motorcyclist, but then as soon as he passes by with the front runners, there's a tendency for the traffic to forget that there's a lot of athletes still on the route, and that's why we also asked for a second motorcyclist who will take care of the middle area, the middle competitors, and then we have a third cyclist bringing up the rear for those who may be struggling a bit to get through the mileage and to ensure their protection. At the end of that, we also have the Red Cross who are at all of the stations along with personnel from the sports division, providing the necessary rehydration juices, refreshments, and at the back we have the Red Cross also doing a sort of sweep to pick up anybody who may have sustained any injuries along the way. And then we have 2 buses for those who, as soon as they've completed their particular legs, would need to rest and recover.
Of course. And of course, we must make mention of the title sponsor of the event, the National Lotteries Authority. This, of course, is a part of the 2023 National Lotteries Authority Inter-Schools Athletics Championships, which has basically gotten underway. We started with the cross-country event, as was mentioned earlier. We now have the road relay, and then we move into the track and field aspect of it. In March, we'll have the heats for the boys and girls on March 15th and 16th. The way that is done is the boys' heats. As we look at our monitor and realize that the race has begun, so we see Bethel High School there along with Petit Bodel, if these are the front runners. These are the front runners there for the race thus far. So we have the heats for the boys and girls. So on the 15th, it will be the girls' running events and the boys' field events, which includes the jumps and throws. And then on the 16th, it flips. We have the girls' field events, throws and jumps, and then the boys' running events will take place. And then on the grand final, which will be on March 30th, at the Sir Vincent Beach National Stadium, we'll have the grand final of the Issac 2023 Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championships.
As we look at the monitor, we do see the Petit Bodel Secondary School in the yellow and blue, and on the inside the number 5 there, that's the Bethel High School. Bethel High School now getting a bit of a lead, trying to get away from the Petit Bodel Secondary School. That's a tall order, by the way.
Yes, indeed.
And then we see the others in the back. We will give you the changing positions if there are any as we coming up. But it's a big group of 12 athletes, and very early there you see separation. Some may get off to a very good start, others may eventually catch up and pass along the road. But for now, this is what we're seeing here, and one of the athletes is there starting to walk. He was just going pretty well.
And that would be there from Petit Bodel. So viewers, just to give you an idea of the teams that we have taking part in our event for this afternoon, as we look and we see the boys, both males and females would have started at the same time, but we're currently seeing the males on our screen. So we have the Bethel High School, we have the Barley Secondary Warriors, the George Stevens Senior Secondary School, the Georgetown Secondary, Intermediate High School, the North Union Secondary, Petit Bodel, Sandy Bay Secondaries, St. Martin Secondary, St. Vincent Grammar School, Chumacah, Ontario, and West St. George Secondary. And then in the girls' race, we have Bethel High School, we have Barley Secondary, or Central Leeward Secondary, George Stevens Senior, Georgetown Secondary, the St. Vincent Girls High School, Intermediate High School, North Union Secondary, Petit Bodel, Sandy Bay, St. Joseph's Convent, Kingstown, Chumacah, Ontario Secondary, and the West St. George
Just to let
Secondary.
you know that the route is a challenging one at the beginning. It's a lot tougher coming up out from the starting point at Peruvian Vale. You had a little bit of downhill, then you had some hill climbing to do, and that will be the order of the day until after you come off Diamond. There's just one other hill around Brighton there that you have, and then after that it's essentially flat. But for now, you see the athletes struggling coming up a bit of an incline here, and the positions haven't changed. I think that may well be George Stevens in the lead at this point. We can't see the number clearly from our vantage point. That looks like P.T. Bedell still in second position. So we have not seen any of the big names just yet, although P.T. Bedell has been around distance running for a long time and has been able to hold their own.
And from what I'm seeing, I think that runner in third, of course, is in the distance, but it looks as though he may be wearing blue, which would probably allude to probably the Barley secondary, if it is indeed blue that we are seeing.
Or remember, we also have the St. Martin's Secondary School.
That is true. That is
so
true.
That could also be a thing. So it's interesting because we know that they have 4 athletes for their regular relays, but for 6. But so they're having their challenges. Finding the additional 2 members for their team. So that may be why we're not seeing some of the bigger names there.
All right, so we are just being told that the Georgetown secondary is actually the school that we're seeing in front here. They're wearing the number 6, so that runner's there from Georgetown secondary. Looks fairly comfortable as he takes a glimpse over his left shoulder to see how close the next runner is. And well, he looks like he's managing. At this point, I believe they've just come up that hill there in Argyle, and they are probably approaching at some point the first exchange which will be at the turnoff to go into the into the Argyle International Airport.
He's looking fairly comfortable and fairly strong as well, and the second run is not at this point having any major impact on him. We don't know if that will change at the changeover point, but certainly he's giving his school a fairly good lead at this point. This is the first leg of the National Lotteries Authority in the Secondary Schools Road Relay Championships.
Yes, indeed, and of course, as we said, it's part of the National Lotteries Authority, and this is here we are just so at the next exchange, well, the first exchange, sorry, so it is Georgetown Secondary who is taking off there, making the first exchange, and he's running away from the crowd there. Of course, smart fella, making sure that he's has some reprieve from the sun. With his hat on.
Yeah, and he's wearing a floppy hat too, so he clearly believes that he is ready for the weather.
Yes, yes, indeed. So as it relates to the Intersecondary Schools Athletics Championships, ladies and gentlemen, the points that are gained in these 2 events will go towards the overall points for the championships overall. So pretty much the Barley Secondary School and Trumaka, Ontario have already secured points in this championship. Of course, they'll be wanting to secure points here again today to take that into the final day of, well, into the heats as well, because there are some final events which take place on the days of heats, and then into the championship day on March 30th.
One thing about a race like this one is that, you know, it's a strategy race. The PE teachers would have determined which athletes are better suited to which part of the race, and so if you're strong athletes, distance runners, you'd want to give them the early part of the race where they can make the hills and give you a good start, and perhaps that's what George Strong is doing here. Others may wait until the flat where they believe that the athletes can do a whole lot better. So it depends on the strategy being employed by the particular PE teacher at any point in time. But he does look to have a fairly substantial lead at this point at the George Strong Secondary School.
Yes, of course, and that of course would take the PE teacher and knowing the athletes that they have under their care at the various secondary schools. And we know that this time of year is the time when schools are having their inter-house athletics championships. So you know, time would be taken to examine the different athletes to see what they are likely to produce.
And part of your strategy is knowing where you can get points.
Yes, yes.
So
Yes.
some of them may not be so strong when it comes to the actual track and field competition. So if you are from particularly the rural schools, which tend to do well in the distance running events, this is where you make your points. You may not be able to sustain it in the track and field competition, but certainly you are in the lead at this point. It's a good place to be.
Yes, and so folks, once again, we just want to keep you viewers abreast of exactly how things are going, at least from a technical end. Now, due to the topography and the landscape of St. Vincent, well, mainland St. Vincent, there will be some areas where the athletes run to where the signal from our camera team may be either weak or might disappear completely. So, for example, like right now, the race is in an area where the signal isn't strong enough for us to get a live feed. So once they get back to an area where it frees up, we will once again be able to see the race there. As it relates to track and field overall, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we had probably, I believe, our best performance at the major regional meet, the Carifta Games last year, in Jamaica.
Yes,
I believe
we're back, and George Chung is still well clear. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to see any other athlete at this stage, which means that he would have opened up a substantial gap, because at the point of changeover,
yes,
they were just about 15 or so meters ahead. This now looks like more like 25 to 30 meters at least, because the other athlete has not yet come around the corner. Yes, we had a very good showing in Carifta last year, perhaps one of the best that we've had. Young Keo Davis, of course, cupping 2 medals, a silver and a bronze. The silver in the 200 meters and a bronze in the 100 meters. But it was a good year for us.
Yes.
And I expect that the coaches would have been sufficiently enthused enough to put good teams together for this year.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that that is happening. Coaches, working hard. The Carifta Games this year, of course, will be held on the Easter weekend in the Bahamas. This time around, still being held up there in the Northern Caribbean. So track and field, ladies and gentlemen, really on the rise here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And what we're seeing here, hopefully, with our cross-country event and then now the hosting of the road relay, we might like to see a revival of road running in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Of course, it used to be one of the major events on the calendar of events and activities as it relates to sports here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Of course, folks from a few years, yesteryear might know of the prowess of Paminas Ballantyne, as I mentioned earlier. So we really like to see the revival of road running here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I know later on in September, well, it's quite a ways away, but of course one of the major events we have here in SVG is the Chatouillet 10K. Hopefully we'll be able to get that off this year and have lots of participation, not just from schools, but from just regular folks who either want to be competitive runners or recreational runners and want to challenge themselves to that event. That event is run in the North Leeward area. It begins in Spring, just outside Spring Village. What's it's not coming to me right now, but I know it will at some. It finishes in Chateaubelair.
Yeah.
And it starts just above Spring Village. You folks from the Leeward side would know Gordon Yard. There we go. And I know it was somebody's name. So it starts in Gordon Yard and it ends in Chateaubelair. So that
as you look at the screen, though, George Chung is still pretty comfortable. The police officer has been able to do well with the traffic. He usually keeps those who are following the athletes a distance behind, because you don't want to get too close to the athlete, and also those that may be wanting to watch from the front. Of course, you would have been prevented a little bit this time because VC3 is also ahead of you. I wanted to make sure that they have the athletes in sight as you're seeing. But what the officer does is try to make sure that he allows the vehicles to stay behind him until such time as it's safe enough for them to pass, both him and the athlete, and guarantee the protection and safety of the athlete during the course of the event. So we're seeing just the George Chung athlete at this point, hopefully, because we're still only in the second leg. There's still 4 more to go, and so it's a long way in terms of running time, and lots of things could happen in the field. Unfortunately, we're not able to bring you an indication of what's happening in the back of that athlete just yet, but the situation is that Georgetown Secondary School is leading the event, and the athlete hasn't had cause to take out his floppy hat as yet. So he must be pretty comfortable and looking back and not seeing anybody as he turns one corner after the other.
And he's actually in the Stubbs area right now. He's just gone past, I believe that what we're seeing, well, we've just seen gone around there. There's an area where I think somebody does headstones for graves. So that's where he is. So he'll be coming up to the next exchange in just a few. And what I've noticed, Keith, also is that his pace has been steady. We haven't seen him slow down too much. We haven't seen him stop and walk. As we see the police officer making sure that the traffic is adhering to.
And of course, he's using the pace of the hill as he's coming downhill. He's using that. And you know, the important thing when you're doing road running is when you get around a corner, you try to hightail it a little bit more because the athletes can't see you and you can't see them. So you take advantage of that to say, let me see if I can steal a march on them. But he's looking pretty comfortable, and like you said, he's been one-paced and consistent. And it has been worth the while because nobody has come close to him just yet.
Yes, his running style is also one where he's not exerting too much energy. He's keeping the arms, fairly close to the body, and the swings are not very wide. Almost, indicative of the top, a long distance running technique.
Yeah.
And for those who follow long distance runners, you may almost think that might be a Kenyan that you're seeing running here, because the next runner is nowhere in sight as our lead runner. As I believe he's getting ready to make the exchange. Yes, and there it is. We saw him start to take the pom-pom off his wrist, and he does make the exchange. So it is made. We are now into the third leg of the 2023 National Lotteries Authority Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championship Road Relay. Georgetown Secondary with a commanding lead for right now. As we started, we saw Petty Bodell, and it's funny, we saw Petty Bodell and Bethel.
Bethel was actually the leader at one point, and then we saw the guy stumble, and then he started to walk. Now we're seeing the female athlete, the first female athlete there that we're seeing.
And that was from Central Leeward, so Barley. That was one of the runners there from Barley Secondary. Yeah. So, like we said, and like we may have anticipated, Barley has the lead. If that was indeed the front runner there for the girls, Barley has the lead there for the females in this event. 12 teams taking part in both male and female categories.
Now we are going up the hill. And you can see the difference in the way the athlete is approaching the hill. But that looks like St. Martin.
St. Martin's, yes.
Coming in second, and he has a different approach to the hill. He's attacking the hill.
Yes,
while
he is.
The leader is simply rolling with the punches. But the Young's and Martin athlete, clearly he's seeing him, and he's actually aggressively coming up the hill behind him.
And we're actually seeing several runners. So the St. Martin's is there as well. I saw two others who are coming here. So they may have gained some ground after that second exchange.
Coming down the hill for the exchange anyhow.
Yes, that's right. Because we were all focused on the front runner. So the other athletes definitely took advantage of that decline and making that exchange. So now they are at least within view of the leader there from the Georgetown Secondary, who is still making his way up the hill. So, and here is the
pack, part of the pack,
and not just part of the pack,
second, third, and fourth,
but the quite indicative style of Mr. Zikri Hepburn of the Central Leeward Secondary, who is just in second place as we see him coming there. That does look like Zikri as a slight pace. One of the top middle distance runners that people can look forward to seeing run at the national championships.
And he's running on the outside, which means that he has already determined he's going to go past him one time, and that he does just about now.
And
he's not even looking back. He's just keeping going. He's looking ahead, and that's the way. And that's the young lady there. We just got a snapshot of the young lady from the Barley Secondary School Warriors. So right now, Barley Secondary School Warriors appear to be holding the lead positions in both the male and female categories.
And one of the interesting things about young Hepburn there from Barley is that whenever for folks who have never seen him run, especially at in a meet or at the national stadium, he's a fellow who runs the 8 and 1500 meters, but he starts at a pace, and his speed is just go. There's no speed up, there's no slow down, it's go and finish. He usually runs his race at just one consistent pace, especially out there. But here on the road, it's slightly different. Of course, the terrain varies. He got hills, you've got corners, and of course different potholes to probably try to avoid as well. But he's doing very well, of course, one of the better middle distance runners. He represented St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the Friendship Games in Guadeloupe. Last year, Martinique, brought home a gold medal in the 800 meters in that event. So that was again one of the performances that we rave about for St. Vincent and the Grenadines last year. As we see, this looks like the females who are now coming down there. This is in the Stubbs area, so they're probably getting ready to make their first exchange. Second exchange. If this is Stubbs, this would be the second leg. Second leg been running, and this is the first runner there from the Central Leeward secondary, as you said, taking advantage of the decline and making her way down that hill rather quickly. Still have no idea as yet as to who may be following up in the second and third positions there for the girls, but Central Leeward is definitely holding pace, leading both the female and both the male, as we are seeing here on screen now. Zachary Hepburn.
Yeah, interestingly, before Hepburn came and took the lead, we saw him along with two other athletes in the second, third, and fourth position, but we're not seeing any of them close enough to be able to distinguish who they are at this point.
Yes, and that may have, as we see the female runner here, trying to see if I can pinpoint exactly where she might be on the road there. But back to Hepburn. It might have been as you spoke about the tactics and the PE teacher and coach laying out his team. Might have been a good move to have Hepburn placed exactly where he is, because now when we cut back to him, pretty sure that we won't see much of any other of the runners. So I know. Okay, so she this is in the Stubbs area. She's probably getting ready to make the exchange now. That's the bridge there. So Brown's Hardware, I think, is the area there. So there goes the leader, Barley Secondary School, just making their next exchange on the third leg there now. So we've got third leg in place for both teams, and Barley, of course, leading both events. Well, both races, male and female, here in the 2023 National Lotteries Authority Issac Road Relay. The return of the road relay here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
National Lotteries Authority, of course, which has taken responsibility for sponsoring both the inter-primary and inter-secondary school athletics championships for several years now. And there you see Hepburn making use of the downhill part of his race, and clearly strategically at the midway point, three more legs to go. It's a good opportunity to steal a march on the rest of the competition. We're not seeing any other athletes just yet, so he does give his team a pretty good measure of comfort at this point. And the same thing is happening with the secondary school girls component, because here is the Barley Secondary School Warriors again. We're not seeing anybody in close contention, and this is the third leg.
Yes. Live coverage of the 2023 NLA Issac Road Relay event. Khalil Cater here along with Keith Joseph, taking you through the events here for this afternoon here as a part of the Inter-Schools Athletics Championships, the return of the Road Relay event. And it's been off the cards for quite some time. As a matter of fact, I remember in my involvement in school sports, both as an athlete and in the early parts of my being involved actively in the organization of it, I've always only ever heard of the road relay. So it's never, I know it happened previous to me being an athlete, and I'm not entirely sure if it had ever come back and then got stopped again.
No, it had been away for a very long time. And what we've seen from Zikri, though, is that he was increasing his pace, clearly approaching the next changeover. So he is giving his team a great deal of comfort at this juncture. And there are no major hills for him to contend with for the team to contend with beyond Prospect. So it's plain sailing. We have to see the other teams and their strategies, which athlete they put in the next three legs to be able to determine what is happening. This looks like has he changed already?
So yes, I think we are now into the fourth leg of the race. This is they would have that aerial shot we saw there was the pitmaster area on the diamond stretch. So it's still Central Leeward Secondary, the Warriors out front leading there, and they are now in the diamond area. And this looks like the female. Yes, this is the female race. Still Central Leeward out front there for the female event here. So I guess Barley Secondary looking to take charge of the championships to date. Now our athlete here is clearly this might not be one of the regular distance runners for the Barley Secondary, because we look at his running movement and style. He looks a little more labored than Zachary Hepburn would have in the previous leg, and also the first couple athletes who we would have seen here. But clearly he is there just doing his best to hold his own and try to maintain that lead there for Barley Secondary as they move on to the legs here. So and here we see the girls probably now making their way to do their exchange in the pitmaster area, as we just got a little aerial view there.
Actually, she seems to be running in a more aggressive manner than the male athlete at this point. But again, it's a strategy, and you have to choose where you're going to put your weaker runner, if you think that he's weaker than the rest of your team. But then again, he may have a stronger finish. Maybe he's pacing himself appropriately, and I would imagine that his team is hoping that that is what is happening at this point.
Yes, so I believe he is probably making that turn there. So that in the area of the Maya's Suites, I believe is the name of the hotel that is being constructed. He's just come around that bridge and is now making his way up into the Belvedere area. And the next exchange, of course, will be not too far away in Prospect at Big John's shop, which is just past the Gits supermarket area there on the Windward Highway, as we go through our 2023 Inter-Secondary Schools Road Relay here this afternoon, sponsored by the National Lotteries Authority. And of course, we welcome the input of the National Lotteries Authority, and as most folks would do, like to encourage any other corporate entities who would want to see the development of not just sports, but sports in schools generally, feel free to step on in. We've had approaches, as I'm speaking now from the organizer's standpoint. We've had approaches from a few entities who have said that they really want to be a part of the event, because we know that, especially when it comes to school sports, track and field is, well, at least the track and field event is one that has generated a lot of attention and generated a lot of excitement over the years. Especially even when things were more or less on a hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano. We're now trying to make a comeback, and speaking of that, we're actually making a absolute full comeback to our sports this year. When we had our championships last year, we had just a portion of schools. I believe in the primary and secondary schools, we had just about half of the numbers of schools that we have in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who took part in that event. And it was even though it was just coming out of the pandemic, as is said, it was a well attended and well executed event, especially by the athletes. And we know that this time around, now that we are in full competitive mode, all schools are geared and set to take part. So we know that for persons who would have been a part of or seen or witnessed the inter-secondary schools or the inter-schools championships last year, just know that this year will be even bigger and pretty much, of course, better.
Of course, the challenge too is that the new arena, the new surface, has allowed athletes to put in better performances. And during the last few weeks, we've seen Pamela's Burke, Brighton, Caliacor, Kittels coming, bringing their athletes there. And you see there he's laboring a little bit to come up the hill there. That is coming up the Brighton Hill there.
Yes, the rivulet corner.
And that corner that the hillocks,
yes. As a matter of fact, that's the area that there's. I'm not sure the name of the church that is on the hill, but from ever since I was a young boy, I always referred to that as the Hot Cross Bun Church because of the round roof.
Of the roof that they had, yes.
So I always call the Hot Cross Bun Church is where he just
interestingly, look at how he's powering up this hill, and once he gets on top of that, he has
flat,
and a gentle incline that takes him down, coming around to Prospect. So he knows that he's coming close to the changeover point. He's not looking back, actually, and which is much better than the previous athletes who were seeming to be concerned about who was behind them. He's not at all. And neither is the young lady. So they're both doing quite well for the Barley Secondary School Warriors at this stage. We're not sure what is happening at the back, but we are also happy that the traffic appeared to be complying with the police's commands, and no incident. We hope the event continues incident-free.
And of course, he's looking much more comfortable now than he did earlier on. You can definitely tell that he's picked up his pace. His running style is a little bit more fluid, and with more control. He doesn't look as labored and like he's fighting more or less now, because now he is on a flat surface there, and will be soon approaching the next exchange, which is at Prospect, just outside Big
But
John's
the other
shop.
thing too, there's a certain amount of relief when you know that the end is.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct, and you usually see it in any race, but at least especially on the track. So a race, for example, for those who are familiar with track and field, a 400 meter event, which I like to call a big man race. You know, when you hit that maybe 250, 300 mark, and it really starts to get heavy.
Leave it all on the track.
And yes, but once you hit that 50-meter mark, you find that tend to find an extra boost, especially when you're anywhere near a prominent position, either first, second, or third, or somewhere where you can probably be able to medal.
And there you see the Barley female athlete again. She is also striding away from the rest of the competition, and it's amazing, because at this point, if you really want to have a chance at winning the event, you need to be within 40 or 50 meters of your opponent. And right now, we're not seeing anybody looking that close. You know, and we'll see what the strategy is. And there's a changeover coming up. Yeah,
so we actually just witnessed the changeover there just outside Pitmaster in Diamond. So this is the Barley Secondary. They've just made their next exchange. So they are currently on their let me get the maths correct here now. First, second, third leg. Pitmaster. Stubbs to Pitmaster would be the so the fourth leg. They're actually on the fourth leg here. Yeah. They're going to take this to Big John Shop, which will be the fifth leg. Big John Shop will take it to the Community College Gap, and that sixth leg, the final leg, will take it from there and come down here to where we are situated at the picturesque ARNOS VALE Sports Complex, just outside the administrative center.
As we see the male athletes for Barley there, secondary school, fighting to get to the point of the changeover. He knows that it's still a long stretch. He has to get it to his fellow competitor in order to give them a good chance of holding on to the first position at this event. But things happen because it's 1.23 or so meters per leg. It is a situation in which changes can occur, and occur very, very quickly. So some teams that may have left their better runners for the latter part, those who have had the opposite strategy will have to be mindful.
Of course, and here we are, our leader from the Barley Secondary, again in the Diamond area, just coming around that bend. She would have just passed the Randy's Supermarket, and now coming around the bridge there and that corner to go past Myers Suites, that hotel that is currently under construction in the Diamond area. And she'll be making, so she would have pretty much not too long ago started her leg and is now making her way as the road relay event continues here.
The good thing about the road relay though is that it's open. So if you do have a junior or intermediate athlete who is stronger than some of your seniors, you can use them to great advantage in this event. So you could have a good mix of age among the athletes in this this competition. But here again, he's looking quite well. They're both looking quite well, and it's I know you're looking at home, you're watching two Barley athletes dominate the road race so far, but there are still more legs to go, and the legs of the athletes can in fact get very tired as the pressure builds as they bid for home.
As you would have seen there, so when we spoke a little while ago about the Barley male athlete and how much more comfortable he looked, as we just saw there, now he started to look a little bit more labored. Maybe he might have exerted a bit too much in that particular part of the leg, but is now making his way, just making sure that he gets to the end of his leg, and now again, so this could be a slight decline. I wonder if that is, I'm trying to see if that might be where he's getting ready to make. Yes, it is. Make the exchange. So that is the next leg. being taken over there. We are now into the fifth leg.
We must
Sorry.
say though that
Yes, fifth
the
leg.
athletes are showing a certain level of composure though. You're not seeing them being under too much pressure. You know, they may have been a little bit jaded in parts, but they still maintained their composure and went about the task as was expected of them by their PE teacher, I would imagine. Given the outcome of the cross country, one would imagine that the school teachers are being bothered at this point as to would we have an all Barley situation, or would St. Martin's come, or Trumaka, Ontario come and upset the apple cart even at this stage.
Yes, and so I'm just scrolling through. Of course, we are live online, and well, somebody says they want to know the second and third position. So do we. But you know, unfortunately, we are unable to ascertain that unless I can probably touch base with somebody one of the officials who is out there. Because
we get to the drones point.
Yes, yes.
Soon enough. Hopefully, it would not be one of those unidentified flying objects, or we would get a helicopter at some point. But unfortunately, we're not able to do that. But I think over time, BCG will get the appropriate technology to facilitate that.
Of course. And also somebody else commented, so just for information's sake, this is not a schools road relay. This is the inter-schools road relay. So there are different school teams. It's not one school that's having an inter-house road relay. So we have got Barley Secondary, Trumaka, West St. George, Grammar School, High School, Intermediate High, Petty Bodell Secondary, Trumaka, Ontario. Well, Thomas Saunders wasn't in this one. West St. George, Georgetown, George Stevens. So it's an inter-schools championship, as we let you know the actual list.
Union and others,
yeah. So it's an inter-schools championship for those who might be wondering, and to answer the question that was asked. So it's not one particular school having a road relay. This is the inter-schools road relay as part of the inter-schools athletics championship here this afternoon. So
I notice you're looking up, and I know it's because you're feeling the drops as well.
Yes, that's right.
Something that the athletes may want, because it's pretty cool for the afternoon. So it's ideal conditions for these athletes. But here again, the athlete is looking quite comfortable, pacing himself, not looking stretched. His arms are a little lower than the previous runners, clearly doing a little bit more work with the arms and the shoulders, more like a sprinter than a distance runner.
Yes.
But then he's not bringing them up, so he's clearly sufficiently comfortable for him to feel that he's doing what is required of him by his PE teacher.
And of course, the athletes are being well hydrated as they take part in this event, because it is rather warm out there. Even though we might be getting we're getting a sprinkle, random sprinkle here at the ARNOS Sports Complex, but it is rather warm out there on the roads, and running on the road, of course, is going to generate more heat. So they are being hydrated at the exchange points and at different locations on the road as well. There are water stations where the athletes are given water.
And again, we want to thank the St. Vincent and Grenadines Red Cross Society for continuing to do human service in that regard. And there you see the police allowing the cars that are not in the race or supporting the race, or supporting athletes in the race to go by at the opportunity affords itself. So clearly, we continue to be incident free, and we hope we stay that way with the cooperation of the public.
Of course. So the 2023 athletics calendar schools calendar already on the way and on the go. Here, this is the second event in the athletics championships. Now, athletics championships, of course, does not just mean the track and field events, or at least this particular year, because we've had the return of the road relay, which we are into right now, and we had the cross country. Well, the cross country event we had some weeks ago wasn't the first of its kind. We've had cross country events at the E.T. Joshua Tarmac.
I think too, Khalil, that's something that we need to mention, which is a significant change. And you spoke earlier of athletics on the rise. The fact that a number of schools are now following what was started by the Bethel High School and then taken up by the Barley Secondary School, that we're now moving to Saturday sports. The vision was able to to do that with the football, using the weekends. We've been asking for that for a very long time, and it's good to see that the school principals and parents have come on board, and we now the timing of events are more appreciative for past students to be able to participate, to come join, buy the jerseys for the houses that they were in, and come and give you one support. So grammar school is going to be on a Saturday this year, which is a big surprise, but also historic. And there we see another athlete, an athlete coming up there on the Barley athlete. That's just as we said we would expect that at some point things will get a little heated. So let's see.
And that is the green, so I'm guessing that is Georgetown Secondary.
Still,
so Georgetown
still
Secondary.
Comeback,
yes, still hanging nearby. So for folks who are wondering about the next position, so here we have, at least we know the first two positions in the male race. It's Barley Secondary, and not too far behind them we have Georgetown in second, as this is now the female. This is the females race, Barley Secondary. The girls still unable to tell if well, clearly there's no other runner in the shot, and we have
none in the frame.
We have no clue how far back the other runners might be. What I will do is throw out a request in the chat group here for one of the officials to.
So what you're seeing is the Barley Secondary's Warriors holding on to the first position, but they're now being challenged by Georgetown, and you know that when you see there's no vehicle immediately behind you, you know that's the fact that another athlete is in the frame. And they did very well in the cross country as well. Serve notice that they were prepared to be a major contender, at least in the distance events this year. So now the pressure is on, because you see the Barley male athlete beginning to look back, and that means that you're beginning to hear the footsteps, and they are impacting how you respond. So let's see how he responds. In the meanwhile, the Barley girls continue their dominance well alone so far in this event.
All right, yes. The runners there now are, well, fairly close together here. So this looks like they're in Caliacor. Yes, so they're coming across the bridge in Caliacor. So it is getting close to where they will do their next changeover, which will be the final exchange. We've got Georgetown, we've got Barley.
Georgetown seeking to steal a match here, and unfortunately the legs of the Barley athlete are beginning to get a little bit wobbly, but he's still holding on. Georgetown clearly looking stronger at this point, and you'd want to make sure that you don't let him get too far ahead of you at this juncture. Otherwise, that's it. It's Ayo Pancho, as the old people say.
Yes, and of course, so they are. Remember, the next exchange, ladies and gentlemen, is at the turn-off to go to the SVG Community College. So you would know that where they are on the Caliacor Villa Flat stretch there, you know that they are approaching that fifth and final exchange there for the boys. As we see the girls race here, this looks to be somewhere in the Prospect area, I believe. Of course, because of the quick movements, but I think they are somewhere near Prospect. They are not quite sure where exactly, but of course, what we do know is that it is the Central Leawood Secondary School that is out front and leading.
So here we go. Georgetown has stolen that match. They're opening a bit of a gap on the Barley athlete here. Can Barley come back at this point? We're losing him in the frame. There's the changeover going to be made now. Georgetown has made the changeover first. Barley will, of course, be second. And this Georgetown athlete looks pretty strong from the way he starts off. Can he hold it as we're getting closer and closer to the finish? And now we see the Barley athlete in the frame. And then we see a third athlete in the frame who's running pretty strongly as well. So it's going to be interesting here, because now it's really going to be exciting.
And actually, as you spoke about the third athlete, so this may be, let's see if he, I'm seeing what looks like to be yellow, so it could be Bethel, but also behind them, I also saw, so here comes some other runners. So the pack has now caught up with the leaders. We could have quite an interesting finish here. Yep. Could our road really come down to a photo finish?
But that's why we have the cameras. That's why we have the cameras here. And of course, it's getting tricky here because Barley is not taking any chances. They've moved back into the lead, relegating Georgetown into second position. And the third athlete is still.
So I think that's Petit Bodell.
Petit
That's
Badel.
probably
So
Petit Bodel, yes.
here we go, as the Georgetown athlete is running now, not his race, but the Barley athlete's race, and that could be proved to be fatal if you're not in fully control of your own race.
Correct. Because when you do that, of course you play into the strength of the other runner. You don't know what his strengths are.
Yeah.
So he would be able to.
What his strategy is.
Correct is right. Correct. So they're just passing the hotels area, the Sunset Shores Beachcombers Hotel. This is the final leg here of the Inter-Secondary Schools 2023 National Lotteries Authority Athletics Championship Road Relay. Yeah, it's quite a mouthful, but that's what we like, because we like when we have all the events that are necessary for a full, complete championship. And as you spoke about schools having their sports meets, their inter-house sports meets on weekends, one thing we'd also, probably want to work towards is having our championships, our inter-schools championships, again, probably brought in line with the way championships are done on at the standard level, several days, consecutive days, and have all of them probably over a weekend period, maybe a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So for the folks,
much like Jamaica.
Much like Jamaica, yes. So we want to start to put this in the mind of our viewers who are watching. So start to bear in mind that we are intending to work towards having that, and which would give folks who work a chance to attend the meets, because that has usually been a complaint of working persons. They said, I would love to see my child run, but I have to work and what. So spectatorship is really what drives sports, sports competitions. You'd like to have the crowd there, as we see the pace really beginning
Yeah, they're
to
going at it, and actually they've removed themselves significantly from the third or any other position, and they're going at it,
probably
fiercely
pacing themselves
going
off
at
of
it
each
here.
other.
So let's hope that they both have something left when they're coming down the final stretch here at the ARNOS VALE Sports Complex. But for now, this is what we're seeing, and we have Barley and Georgetown running literally side by side as they come into the final portion of this road relay.
Yes, of course. So they are in the Villa area, which would they are, I believe, approaching what would be the Villa Lodge Hill. They'll be coming up to that, of course. Going. I think the incline that they would have would be very slight from about Sunset Shores up to the top of where the gym is. Well, that's not coming.
But
Not
that's
coming to
important
mind.
enough
Fitness
for you
Quest.
to get a lead there. You have downhill,
because then you
right
go downhill.
after that. Yep.
Yes, and you should be able to muster up enough oomph.
Luckily, they've passed there. They're closer to where the Olympic, coming now to where the Olympic House is, because we just passed that big tree.
Yes, and there's the wall. Yes,
yeah.
There's that wall there. So they'll be coming
this
around that corner. That would take them to the Villa Lodge Hill, and then from there it would be. I would not be surprised if it were pretty much an all-out sprint as best as they could. We'll be downhill past the ARNOS VALE service station, and it's all flat from there here to the ARNOS VALE Sports Complex. Barley secondary looking, well, his head dropping just a bit, probably just, taking a time to take a deep breath of air, because he knows that
athlete is looking pretty strong, quite frankly. Stouter, and well, we seen them pretty soon, I can tell you that, because they're now coming around they just passed the Villa Lodge corner there, and that's
so it's now downhill.
Yep, downhill again.
So what we're initially seeing here basically is a personification of a repeat of the 2019 football finals, Georgetown Secondary and Barley Secondary there. Here is a shot of the females. Still Barley all out front. No other school in sight as yet. Let me see if check.
But I can tell you, I don't know that there were many people who would have been expecting the Georgetown Secondary School to be in the frame at this stage, which is a remarkable achievement for their part. Here, the females, Barley all alone. They have been all alone since we started seeing females, and we expect that, given the way they have been performing on the track as well as in the cross country championships, which they won. If in the males, it was the Schumacher, Ontario, and St. Martin's and others who were competing with them for the male division of the cross country. But here it looks as though it's Georgetown Secondary School that says we're stepping into the frame. you come and deal with us.
And there's the female lead there for the Barley Secondary in the Rathamil area. I think that vehicle that we just saw come onto the road there came down from the medical college, what we call the medical college turnoff. I'm being told that Trumaka Secondary is currently second for the girls.
That is also not surprising.
Yes. Yes. So right now, I'm pretty sure what these guys are doing is probably looking to preserve preserve something, especially for the ends, because they are approaching the intersection there where they will run off the main road and then come down the road here to the finish line here at the ARNOS Sports Complex.
What was troubling is that just a while ago we saw the athlete from the Barley School putting his hand on his hips, and that's not a good sign at this stage. And like I said, the Georgetown athlete was looking the stronger of the two, and now you're beginning to see that he knows just where he is in relation to the event, and we can expect that he's beginning to move away now, to pull away now from the Barley athlete, showing that who was running whose race. Well, I'm running my race now, and you're going to be second. You're going to have to contend with second. So Barley is at this point probably not going to be able to be a major contender for the first place, and have to be worried as to whether somebody else will come and catch him before they reach here for the final spurt.
And if you look at the way he was running there as well,
he's coming into the
he's just made the turn there at the entrance to the ARNOS Sports Complex, and now running with a competent and confident pace,
and
because he knows that the finish line is in sight as he makes his way down, and he's probably racing against the rain because we see some showers just up above the area there. We've got students from what looks like probably the girls' high school, which is located, of course, just adjacent to where we are situated here, cheering on the finisher from Georgetown Secondary.
And we are not seeing the second place person just yet.
Yes, which
is an ominous sign for the Barley Secondary School Warriors. They need to have some warrior blood infused at this point if they are to stay on the tins. So this is where we are at the present time. And that's the kind of situation that we are in as we come into the closing stages here. It is all the Georgetown Secondary School that is going to win the boys section of the inter-secondary schools road relay this year. We're not sure who is in second because Barley seemed to have fallen off the radar. He's not even in the frame at this point. And we know that for the girls, that the Barley Secondary School have been in the lead from the very beginning. So let's see what will happen here, whether Barley will get points from both. And we just had the finish here. Barley looks like they will hold on to second. The winner just got past here. And we're looking at Barley trying to hold on for the second position here in the male section.
They're going to be followed closely by St. Martin's Secondary and the St. Vincent Grammar School.
St. Vincent Grammar School trying to make a great bid as they come down here, but it is a staggering Barley Secondary School that finishes here, and he is beat. He is really beat.
Yes,
he is really beat. He got a song whipping there. St. Martin's came back up and got third. That's very good. And the grammar school is also very good for the grammar school, who are not necessarily known for strong runners, although they have Handel Ruben holding their flag in Penn State right now. But certainly that's the wrap on the male section in terms of the first four that have come in here for the competition. But there you see the Barley athlete in need of much assistance here at the finish. He is winded. He's very, very winded. And so we were right. The Georgetown athlete looked that much stronger and got his way.
Yes, and we see, well, I'm not sure what, because the youngster that just crossed the line is wearing a number 2.
So unless Barley put 2 teams in the competition.
Which, not sure. Not sure of the logistics of that one. But here we now see, this looks like the Trumaka Ontario Secondary. This is Brown, as you just mentioned, Handel's brother here, making his way. Maverick Brown there, now crossing the line for the...
And he finished very well. He finished looking very well. He looks as though he has some of Handel in him at this point. Yes. But we can tell you that the competition here is such that we do have some people gathered here from the varying schools, past athletes from the various schools who came here to lend their support to the to the athletes. And that's what we were talking about earlier. And now we see the girls, and this is
That's Barley Secondary.
vintage Barley,
Yes.
Barley with the big header here, and the athletes pumping coming down the road. And
this looks to be a Kayla Hamlet of the
yes,
Barley.
who has been hoping for this kind of victory, because she had some problems injury-wise during the school's last year, but she's certainly showing what she's worth here. So the Barley Secondary School, let's put it in perspective. The Georgetown Secondary School finished first in the boys.
Yes.
They were followed home by the Barley Secondary School Warriors, and then came the St. Martin's Secondary School, and then the St. Vincent Grammar School, and then, well, we need to find out exactly who was that other group that was in the yellow that looked almost like the Barley Secondary
Yes,
School.
because we did also see our Trumaka Ontario finish the race there as well. So we still haven't seen any of the other finishers or the males come in as yet, in terms of, maybe Western George, North Union, George Stevens and the like. But here we are seeing the Barley Secondary School, the female. This is the lead runner for the female race, and she seems to be in the Villa area. There she would have just passed the hotels, Sunset Shores Hotel, Beachcombers, and there. So she's making her way up that hill and around the corner
and
towards
then to get
the gym
fitness
hill.
quest.
Yes.
Because when you get it's a troublesome little incline, because it has a turn, it has a little bit, it may be a little bit deceptive. It's not as easy as it seems, but certainly when she comes off of that, she has plain sailing going downhill.
Yeah, so we'll of course have to wait to see if, as I was told by our on-the-road officials, that Trumaka, Ontario was in second place, but we'd have to wait to see after Barley completes this, barring any other mishaps, well, sorry, not any other, but any mishaps, if she gets caught, to see who indeed will finish second and third. But for right now, it's all Barley Secondary in this female race. The males have already completed their race here. So the male race is complete, ladies and gentlemen, and the 2023 Inter-Schools Athletics Championship Road Relay event here this afternoon. We are looking at the leader from the Barley Secondary School. They were second in the male. They had a good, strong running, especially in the center middle part of the race, but faded to the end, of course.
Now
but they
she's
are
at the top of the hill. That's by Fitness Quest. She's now going to be coming downhill. That is going to be a good thing for her. She gets some respite here, allow her the gravity to bring her downhill, and then, of course, she has to contend with that gentle incline coming up past the Indian Bay entrance again. But we've not seen anyone else in the frame at this juncture, so we know that they have a good lead. They have been in the lead of the race since we got started, so that's a good thing for them.
Yes, of course. So again, it's Kayla Hamlet there, one of the better middle distance runners of the Barley Secondary School, making her way. She's just gone past the SGD Freightus building, coming down that decline. She'll be going around the turn, and then there's that slight incline to take you up to the Villa Lodge Hill, the intersection there.
Now by the Ballantyne and
yes, of course,
Ballantyne building.
And then from there, she will have the downhill to the Arnosville service station, and then it will pretty much be, for lack of a better phrase, smooth sailing. Here, as I try to look back to see, I see runners are still coming in. I think I see Sandy Bay Secondary is making his way to the finish line.
But it's a welcome return of the road relay. We've not had it for a very long time, and to have 12 schools in both the male and female category is amazing, and we're very, very appreciative of the fact, from an organizational standpoint, that they have done that. We've just seen another athlete finishing there for the boys.
Sandy Bay, yes, that's Sandy Bay Secondary.
Sandy Bay Secondary, but they must be a little bit concerned that the girls were that close to them.
Yeah, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Again, you are viewing the 2023
Bay entrance that they are now passing. coming that gentle incline that we were talking about. When she gets wrong that corner by the Olympic office at Villa Lodge, she will certainly feel a lot more confident as she begins to see the schools gathering.
Yes, yes, of course.
The athletes are passing by to try to get to the finish line ahead of them, their classmates and supporters.
Of course. It is. So we've got, of course, we want to say thanks to folks who are, viewing right now. We think we're still having persons asking about somebody says the person who came fifth was Petit Bodell secondary. That, of course, was for the male race. But here, the comfortable running there for the Barley secondary in the female category of our event this afternoon. Here, on the windward side, and getting ready to end here.
Approaching Villa Lodge.
Yes,
and again, we're not seeing anybody in close order. She's quite comfortable, and she hasn't been looking back, and maybe she was advised not to do that because there's nobody to
see.
So you're competing against yourself, so you might as well hold on to the police lead vehicle and try to get home as quickly as is possible.
And I'm just looking back here, and I think we would have just seen Bethel High School just finish for the male. For the males
they
here.
They had a good start. They were in the thick of things for the first leg, but then that strategy didn't seem to have the other athletes to keep them on board. Here we see another athlete coming in for the finishing of the male competition here.
Yes. Well, he's running in red, but I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look back to see. No, I'm not sure can't tell what team he would have been running in, and of course it. Would have been prudent for the athletes to be running in their school uniforms, especially for the sake of identification. So now we'll have to ask to find out what team that athlete would have been.
So now we see heading for home.
Yes, so she has come down the decline. She's gone past the ARNOS service station. She's coming past the Rubis gas compound and the ARNOS medical complex. So it's all smooth sailing there for the athlete there from the Central Leeward Secondary in the lead for the girls section of this 2023 Inter-Schools Road Relay event. Here, so again, Barley Secondary in the process of again gaining more points for the overall championship.
For first and second, yes, and as they did in the cross country.
Yes, that's right.
And the other school that got first, in both instances, are not near them in terms of overall points, is it? At least not normally in the competition.
Of course. We want to say thanks again to our friends from VC3 for providing this live stream on VC3 TV, channel 11, what's it again? 114, I believe. And also live on their Facebook page. We know that a lot of folks are viewing this event here. And what the benefit of this is that we have, as you mentioned, for schools who would start to have their sports on the weekends, past students who would want to come back and be a part of the event. So when we have things being streamed and the viewing the race is just a click away. You have persons who are overseas. There's one fellow by the name of Gary Thomas, who I'm sure a name you're familiar with, who is viewing this event right now, rooting for the St. Martin's Secondary quite naturally.
In Gary's days when he was the PE teacher at the St. Martin's Secondary School, we were doing the National Road Relay, and we were at FI Jack residence, and the athletes for St. Martin didn't turn up. He jumped out of the lead vehicle and he did the leg.
He did.
So I'm sure Gary will remember that. But the thing is that the work that VC3 is doing, it's building up a portfolio in this vein, and I think that it could only get better over time. And I think that Vincent, the diaspora, will begin to tune in more to the sporting coverage that VC3 is giving. And we again are grateful that they have positioned themselves for yet another year to be doing live streaming of all of the inter-secondary and inter-primary schools championships, whether it be cross-country, road relay, or what have you. And pretty soon we see schools looking to get funding to support them in terms of their own sports day activities being streamlined.
Yes, of course. So we are now, as we see her, she's making the turn to come into the gate, the main gate at the ARNOS Sports Complex. So that is the gate that you're seeing there. So she's now going to make that run all the way down the stretch to where we are here at the finish line. Akela Hamlet of the Barley Secondary.
Finish with a flourish.
Of course she is.
Yes.
Yes, as according to a good commentator who was talking when they had the All Leeward Sports. Yes, Akela is famous for her Kankalan braids. I can't even remember the pronunciation. The ladies out there would know exactly what I'm talking about. But the Kalakakan braids or something like that. But here she comes,
bringing glory to her school yet again.
Yet again, yes, yes.
Setting the stage for Barley at the end of these first two events. Barley Secondary is ahead on both the girls and the boys.
Yes, and they did something last year which doesn't happen all usually, in that winning both the girls and boys of the athletics championships. That was done before, I believe, by the Thomas Saunders Secondary. In my day as an athlete, I remember it being done as well by the Emmanuel High School Kingstown, now called the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial.
And in the process, the Troning Grammar School, which had won something like nine,
yes. So here she is, embracing the support that she's getting from the onlookers on the side as she makes her way to the finish line here, getting ready to take first place in the 2023 Inter-Secondary Schools Road Relay event, the Central Leeward Secondary,
as we said.
Of course, and she does so. So congratulations there, Barley Secondary taking first place in the girls category of the Inter-Secondary Schools Road Relay, being embraced there and supported by the PE teacher and coach, Mr. Chester Morgan, of Central Leeward there as well. So now it's, well, as I said, I was told that the Schumacher Ontario Secondary
at the time, some time
yes. So folks, what will happen now is our camera team is going to head back out on the road. I'm guessing that's that vehicle turning around there, to try to catch up with the next set of runners, wherever they might be. So, but we are the ARNOS Sports Complex here, a hive of activity here at the finish line area for the 2023 Inter-Secondary Schools Road Relay. Yeah. All right. So we're just being reminded that our mic. Yeah, we know that we are live. Yeah. All right. So
we just have there are a lot of celebrations here actually, and what we're seeing too is a large crowd has come down to see the thing, and it's this kind of hive of activity around the competition that gives impetus to other people wanting to participate, wanting to share in this kind of enjoyment otherwise. So it's very, very well put together. Congratulations to the organizing committee for Inter-Schools Athletics, and of course the ministries, the relationship between the Ministry of Sport and the Ministry of Education to ensure that the schools are in fact.
And talking about there being a hive of activity there, as we see the students from the St. Vincent Girls High School, well, I don't know if they were let out. It's just 2:30. Usually they might be in class, but
given where they're located,
yes, you could understand
why they brought the event to their school.
Pretty much. And this is one of the reasons, Keith, why we want to encourage to have our sports meets being done on weekends, because it gives chance for there to be much more support for the event. Sometimes I hear teachers, and this is just my humble opinion, I hear teachers sadly talk about the weekends is their time, and the school is from Monday to Friday. Well, I'm sorry, that is about to change. So teachers, you will have to get on board. As we see an athlete here making her way down the stretch towards she's just passing the second gate there. I believe that is green, so it's probably the second place runner from the Schumacher Ontario Secondary, making her way towards the finish line there. So again, appealing to folks who might have some sort of mental block towards the embracing or the idea of having the school sports on weekends. That is where it is aiming to go to, and you may as well get on board. because it's going to happen.
Yeah, the thing is, though, that I mean, at the end of the day, the schools can benefit tremendously from having the support of past students.
Yes,
You know, many of the schools in Jamaica, for example, have alumni all over, and you always see them. And here we have the that it looks like the Trumaca, Ontario, or is it Georgetown?
I think with that shade of green, I believe is no. We'll have to wait to see as she makes her way around the plant, which is blocking, and then with the glare of the sun, still a little hard to tell whether it is Trumaca or Georgetown second. It is green, that we know for sure. All right, so it is Trumaca.
Yeah.
It is the dark green of the Trumaca Ontario. So Trumaca takes second in the female category.
So there goes Leeward. The up and go to Leeward so far. But you know what we're saying is that, and some of these athletes have not as well conditioned as others, but the Red Cross is here, the refreshments are here. And I think that they're responding very, very quickly. So they're meeting you with refreshments to allow you to recover as quickly as possible. But the thing about, and look at the line of the athletes along the
well,
road,
these are actually the students of the girls' high school. And I was just messaged there by the deputy principal, just letting me know that they have permission to be here from the school's authorities.
And well, that's what I was saying. The way in which they have lined the streets is clearly as a planned, a structured approach, and I think the athletes would very much appreciate that.
And I can tell you what, Keith, I'm not sure entirely where they are in the race, but you can expect to hear a raucous roar once the runner from the girls' high school, no matter what position they are in, starts to come down that stretch. You'll probably believe that it's a high school sport.
Well, I think that would be all right. That'd be good for them. And their sports coming up soon, right?
Yes, that's right.
So the thing is that we're talking about the sporting activities, and we also know that parents are not comfortable with some of the activities taking place, particularly competitive activity.
Of course. All right. So we're just being told by our technical team that we are in the process of setting up to get some interviews done. Excuse me. As we see another athlete there, this looks like an athlete from the West St. George Secondary, who is still out on the road. I'm trying to ascertain where exactly. Okay, so this looks like she's just come down the hill off of Villa Lodge, and is now coming onto the stretch, that flat area. Is that where she is? She should be passing that tire. Yes, that's where she is. So she's now approaching the ARNOS VALE service station. That would be the gas station on that side of.
Yeah, she just passed it actually. Yeah.
So she's.
So we will have a change of fortunes in terms of the way in which sports are looked at in the school system, and I think that ultimately parents, past students, and general patrons would be happier with late evening hours. We have a stadium that can also go into the evening hours, hopefully with lights and the like.
And of course, it is quite windy here, as you can hear, ladies and gentlemen, here at the ARNOS VALE Sports Complex. And it's funny that where we are actually more or less in a sheltered area. We are sitting just very near to the wall of the admin complex, but you can hear the wind as it blows through our microphones here. Folks who are familiar with ARNOS VALE would know about how windy it can get here.
All right.
So we're getting ready now. We're going to throw it to a interview. So let's get into that right now. We've got Moet Games, who is speaking to the St. Martin Secondary School.
With me are the boys from Martin Secondary School, who just came in third in the inter-secondary school road relay race. Tell us how you're feeling, boys.
Exhausted. Very exhausted.
What was this race like for you? I know we are accustomed to road relay, but the legs, it's a different terrain altogether. What was it like?
Well, the legs were very challenging. Well, my leg was very challenging, and there's a lot of pressure.
I'm currently sick, so I'm kind of proud of myself because I stopped it.
How do you see yourself representing your school going into the inter-secondary athletics on the track itself?
It's not a chance for win. I'm going for win.
Well, thank you, St. Martin Secondary, and all the best to you and your entire school. And that was the St. Martin Secondary School, the third place winners of the cross country here in St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, the boys division.
Alright, so we are back here. So that cheering that you were hearing there, and as we can see that's the crowd there from the Georgetown Secondary who is cheering on their athlete as she comes in now. I've actually lost count of where we are in terms of the positions, but we see Samaya Panel of Georgetown and the Georgetown Secondary supporters there celebrating the fact that she's struck.
Small group, very vocal.
Very vocal.
And I think that the girls' high school students are warming up.
Yes, I tell you, it will be rather loud. So, folks, if you're listening, you can brace yourselves for whenever the athlete from the girls' high school makes her way down here to the finish line. That is West St. George, a runner from an athlete. I'm not sure if she's the competing athlete, but the fact that she just walked by our camera is probably letting me know that she may have already completed her leg of the race. And as a matter of fact, I'm not sure if, again, as I've lost count, I'm not sure if we saw West St. George finish here this afternoon. But here we see. So again, I was assured by the deputy principal of the St. Vincent Girls High School that the girls who are here, they have permission to be out and supporting this event. And these are the things that we
Actually,
support.
it looks like the whole school is out.
Well, not the whole school, because I'm looking at some that are in their classrooms but hanging out the windows. Hanging out.
So they may very well be in but out.
Yeah, so we're looking at the vantage point there. This is a camera that was a camera that was situated just at the very top of the road leading down to the ARNOS Sports Complex. That again is the folks from Georgetown still in a celebratory mood here this afternoon. And now there comes the West St. George runner. There she makes her way down the stretch as she goes through the tunnel of high school students, the corridor of high school students there, making her way to the finish line. And we see there's another team further back. Can't make out who
that
they
looks
are.
like the girls'
But
high
it's
school. You don't
probably
have
the
to
girls'
make
high
it out.
school.
You don't have to make it
From
out.
the cheering
They're-
and roaring
they're all
that
there.
we are hearing, the girls' high school is now making their way down. And these are the types of things that we love to see. Even though a team doesn't place in the top, top positions.
You end up being certain that we are all winners.
Yes, that's right.
That's the end
The
of
support is there, and and they are getting it. These are the kinds of things that we love to see. There's the support and the cheering on of the students of the St. Vincent Girls High School for their runner, who is making her way to the finish line. So the high school, they are just getting ready to finish the event. As she does cross the line, and we hear the cheers as well from those girls who are over on the school compound. So we've just seen the Girls High School complete their participation in the 2023 Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Road Relay, which is part of the Athletics Championship. We are here live at the ARNOS Sports Complex.
What time is it now? We've
right
gotten
now,
rid of the traffic. We've beat the traffic.
Yes, I believe we have, because it's just about 21 minutes to 3.
Yeah.
So we did make very excellent time in being able to beat the traffic here this afternoon as part of this event. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the next event on the calendar, all right, would be I think we have also got the intermediate high school. Some guys from Timmy are just standing here in front of us. So the next event on the calendar will be the heats for the Inter-Secondary Schools Championship on March 15th and 16th, and the grand final will be on March 30th. So feel free to mark that down on your calendar as we see more athletes making their way. This is another of the female competitors making her way down, and we'll have to wait till.
Might be Sandy Bay from the looks.
Yes,
of
could be because it might be a gray vest that we are seeing. Here, as we continue to have the competing teams complete their participation in this road racing event.
I'm sure the runners that are now coming in are happy that they're getting a much better reception than those who came earlier, because the girls' high school cordon is giving yeoman support to everybody who passes by. So you get a very good welcome coming down the home straight. But it's good to see Sandy Bay participating in this event again, coming back after such a long absence, and that they are, finishing the event.
Yes, of course. And then we know that Sandy Bay is the birthplace of not just Pamanas Valentine, but his brother as well, Benedict. As we see the athlete there, and we definitely have a race on here. This looks like the St. Joseph's Convent Kingstown, and they are
Bethel.
and Bethel High School in what seems to be a sprint. Well, a sprint by road relay standards as they come a little closer. But Bethel doesn't.
Bethel has given up the ghost.
Yes, Bethel has
given up the ghost.
Has resolved herself to finishing in the position that she will, as the St. Joseph's Convent Kingstown. An athlete I know well, Anea Byron, just crossing the line there. And the Bethel High School athlete just stumbling her way across the finish line, the finish line area here this afternoon. Of course, she's being assisted.
Well, in case you just turned on, you're looking at the concluding segment of the National Lotteries Authority Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championships Road Relay for 2023. This event has been back after more than a decade.
Yes. Much more than a decade.
Much more than a decade, probably as many as 20 years since we last had a schools road relay. But certainly it's been well attended. We had 12 male teams, 12 female teams. So far, we've heard of no casualties. We've assumed that all the teams will finish the event. And we have a very good crowd here at the ARNOS VALE Sports Complex, just next to the Administrative Center, where the finish line is located. VC3 has been bringing you live coverage of this event, and of course, we've been doing interviews as well with the winners of the events.
Yes, of course. So again, there are still maybe just a few teams left to complete the event here this afternoon. Live are we at just outside the administrative complex here at the ARNOS VALE Sports Complex. But remember, Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championships. And of course, while we talk about Inter-Secondary Schools, of course, this is an event that is part of the Inter-Secondary Schools Championship. The Inter-Schools Championship, which includes the primary schools as well, is also on.
The first of the preliminaries is actually on the 28th of February.
Yes, as you're getting a glimpse of our technical team there, ladies and gentlemen. They are in the master studio, if you will. Becker there from VC3, marshalling his team as we get a glimpse again back out on the road. As we see an athlete here, this looks like someone from the 12. This is the intermediate high school. So the female team of the intermediate high school now making her way. The final athlete on their leg, the final leg, just crosses the finish line there to complete the event for their team. Of course, we'd await the official word as to the final lineup.
And just to remind you that it was 6 legs, each of just about 1.3 kilometers per runner. So they've done well, and here's another athlete coming in, finishing. It's good to see all of them finishing, actually, holding their own and not looking to not disappointing. We see now 2 police horse riders, which means we must be very close to the end of the event.
I believe this athlete could be either from the North Union or George Stevens secondary school. Of course, we'd have to wait until she gets even closer. The crest is there, but it's too far away to identify what school that might be.
And Khalil, it is a well put together event. Again, we need to commend the organizing committee, and we need to commend VC3 for the excellent work that they have done here, despite our limitations, not being able to bring you the whole race in terms of aerial coverage. But certainly, and we go over for an interview with the St. Vincent Grammar School.
Important place winners of the Road Relay Inter-Secondary School 2023 St. Vincent Grammar School. Boys, how you feeling completing this race?
We feel kind of exhausted, It was kind of challenging, but I know everyone in our team did our best, and fourth is I wouldn't say acceptable, but we did our best, so that's all that matters.
What were your preparations like coming into this road relay?
You know, we normally train every day of the week. So most of us. Yes.
Well, all the best to you and your school, St. Vincent Grammar School. Congratulations, boys.
Thank you.
And that was the St. Vincent Grammar School here at the Arnisville Sporting Complex, where we have just witnessed the completion of the 2023 Road Relay Race. We had St. Martin already. Don't get too much down.
Yeah, I know that VCT is trying to get an opportunity to speak to the winning school and, of course, the school that came second, the winning schools, the Barley in terms of the girls and the Georgetown Secondary in terms of the boys. So we're hoping that we'll be able to bring that to you before we conclude here. We see VCT has finally caught up with the Georgetown Secondary School, and we should be having them for an interview shortly. Today is an excellent day for the athletes from the secondary schools around the country. 12 of them participated, 12 teams participated in the male division, and 12 teams participated in the female division. So pretty soon we will have the interview with the Georgetown Secondary School, winners of this year's revived inter-secondary schools road relay.
As, Keith, I was meaning to ask you. Well, all right, I'll ask on the other side of this. You're someone who's very familiar with sports, regionally. Is a road relay a part of championships in other countries? But we'd probably get to that just after we get our interview completed there. But okay, so they're gonna have something else done there. So we know that a lot of folks are familiar with, especially champs, in Jamaica. The inter-school event is also fairly big in places like Trinidad, Grenada, Barbados as well. But how, as far as your own knowledge goes, how many of them also incorporate a road relay or a distance event of this nature?
No, the thing is that you made the point earlier that we've done well in some distance games in terms of distance running. The Ballantyne brothers and so on dominated the OECS, and Palmettos dominated the entire Caribbean and even Central America at one point. This is not this. I think World Athletics is even now admitting that it had missed the ball in terms of allowing road running.
Wow.
Not to be integrated. It's more in private hands in most countries.
Okay.
And for that reason, schools don't really do it. The cross country is also not as popular in the Caribbean as it should be, but you know that in colleges in the United States, cross country is where you start your season.
Yes.
I think what we have here is something that is quite unique.
Ontario Secondary School, and they are here at the road relay of the Inter-Secondary School Championship. Welcome, Chumuka.
Welcome.
And congratulations to you on your finish. I know that you are a school that very much involved in athletics. Tell us, how was this race for you?
Well, for me it was easy because I did it before.
For me it was kind of difficult because the sun was really hot.
What were your preparations like coming into the race? How did you prepare for this race?
Nothing, just warm up, just warm up.
Just warm up.
So you came in second place for the girls. Tell us, what is that feeling like, knowing that you competed among so many schools?
Feel
If
good,
you go out, you have to come first.
So what are your plans for the next season?
To come first, train hard and come first.
Well, congratulations again to you, Chumuka, Ontario, and all the best as you progress throughout the 2023 season. That was the Chumuka, Ontario Secondary School here with us at the Arnisville Sporting Complex, where we've just witnessed the 2023 Road Relay Race.
Second place.
And we're back after that interview with the girls from the Chumuka, Ontario Secondary School. Yes, Khaled, the thing is that I think we are unique in this regard, and where did...
As we hear some loud cheering, so we've still got a team. This is Petty Bodell just finishing the race there, and again being supported and congratulated for her feat of finishing the event there by the girls' high school corridor.
Yeah, but I think road running is something that is important, and we really do need to integrate it. The thing too is that even at the individual schools level, here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you've always had a road relay. Quite unlike schools in other parts of the region. So I think it's something that we should be proud of, and something that we should continue. And I know that a number of people miss this event, and you know, even when the grammar school is having the road relay, people run away from their jobs and come back and look to see if their house is winning. So we're lining up yet another interview.
This time it will be the
Georgetown Secondary School.
The winning boys, the winning team there from the Georgetown Secondary. We're about to hear from them, and more at games of the API Agency for Public Information.
Secondary School. Welcome, Georgetown Secondary.
Good to be here, man.
And now tell us how you feel winning this road relay race at the Inter-Secondary School 2023 season.
Good.
I feel like a champ.
What were your preparations like coming into this race?
To beat up somewhere in school.
Preparation?
So we have Teacher Dean here with us, who's the PE teacher there at the school. Mr. Dean, share with us how the season is going for you so far.
Well, last time I spoke to you, I told you that we are preparing for inter-school sports, and now we are seeing some result. I am not surprised at the victory today. I came here to win. Even in the female category, things didn't work out as we wanted to, but we played solid. We'll settle for that. All right? So I'm happy for the victory. It shows that hard work always pays off.
We know that you had a boost at the cross-country event, and you did say that you were coming for the road relay, and you are coming as well for the general athletics itself. Tell us how the preparations are going so far.
Well, you know, Georgetown Secondary School is a big school, as I always say, compared to Sandy Bay where I was, and to have all these athletes to work with now, it's a blessing. So what I am actually doing at evening time, I make it my business to stay back and work with the athletes. Presently, I have some other guys who work along with me, so it's not like I have a one-man team. We have a team that work with the athletes on evening time.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was actually the next question. What is the support system like for the athletes and coming from the school as well as the parents and villagers?
Yeah, man, support system is extremely good. The principal, actually, after training, I call him and say, we have a student to drop Ovia, and he will actually, whatever he's doing, he will come and he will drop them to Ovia both ways. So I have a strong support system, and hence the reason why we are successful, because we work together.
Well, thank you, Georgetown Secondary, and all the best as you progress in the 2023 athletics season. Just give the world something. You are the champions. Look like champions.
Say something. Say something. JSS.
And that was the Georgetown Secondary School, and we're coming back over to you now, Tamara.
There you have a very proud PE teacher from the Georgetown Secondary School. Happy that he's in winner's row. He was a PE teacher at the Sandy Bay for several years. He's been trained in Cuba, and of course it must be a very proud moment for him that in the year that we have returned, we've seen the return of the road relay that his school has won, and in such fine style, because they were middling in the first leg. They were not as strong as they looked, and then they were at one point they took over, then they lost the lead and barely controlled the middle part of the race, as you were saying. In fact, right up to from the second leg, they took control right up to the middle of the last leg is where they lost it.
Yes, indeed, definitely. And of course, Georgetown, we know, is also home as in home school, to another of one of our character athletes from last year, Shante Matthias, who folks can look forward to seeing as part of the Issac Championship for 2023. When the days for the events do come along, March 15th and 16th for the heats, and then the final championship day on March 30th. So I think they are getting ready to do the presentation of trophies there. We just had a glimpse of the trophies there, so wider shot there. All right, but so live coverage here of the 2023 Intersecondary Schools Athletics Championship Road Relay event just completed here at the ARNOS VALE Sports Complex. 6 legs which started in Peruvian VALE and ended here. We had the Georgetown Secondary School take the top spot for the males. They were followed by Barley Secondary in third. And then for the girls, it was Barley Secondary finishing first. Can't bring to mind Trumaka, I believe. No, it wasn't Trumaka who was second, but nonetheless, we're going to throw it back to Moet Games as he speaks to the runners from the West St. George Secondary.
Division of the road relay race here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Welcome, West St. George.
Thank you.
Tell us how you felt coming forth in this race.
Good.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, we could have come better because we had the better first lap and second lap. Yeah.
So when you fell behind, how did you feel? When you fell behind moving from first, how did you feel coming on?
I didn't feel disappointed, but then when I give the batter, she go and make me feedback. But then Hibiscus bringing the batter. So we've been proud of she.
And how are your preparations going for the 2023 athletics season? We know that that season and track event will be held at the Diamond Sports, the track there. How you feel about that?
Well, great, to be honest. Good.
How the preparation going?
Good.
How's the training?
Good. Everything good.
Well, all the best to you, West St. George, and we're hoping to see you at the athletics championship. Yes, that was the West St. George Secondary School, and we are still here at ARNOS VALE as we turn back over to Mr. Keith Joseph and Khalil Kato.
Thank you very much, and there's Moet on the job, being able to interview quite a few of the athletes from the different teams that participated in today's event. Again, if you're just joining us, you're witnessing the concluding segment of today's return and revival, call it what you will, of the Road Relay Championship that forms part of the
maybe a
teacher Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championship 2023. We had 12 teams participating in the male division, 12 teams participating in the female division. And Khalil, you can tell us again how you saw the event unfold.
Okay, well, first off, it was good to see so many teams showing interest and then making the move to actually take part in the event for this year. Again, if we went off what we saw based off the previous event, which would have been not road relay previous event, but the previous distance event, which would have been the cross-country race, you would have anticipated that the Central Leeward Secondary or Barley Secondary School, as well as the Trumaka and Pettibodell Secondary Schools would have been the schools to have vied for the titles. I must say that it was a pleasant surprise, as in you literally probably didn't see the Gladiators of Georgetown Secondary coming. When they started, it was Pettibodell and Bethel that on the initial stages of the first leg. But as the race panned out, Barley took control and went through to the race until pretty much the last leg, where Georgetown was clearly not too far behind and took advantage on the last leg as well. But we've got Moet again there, and he's getting ready to talk to the team from the Bethel High School, the males and females, the alphas of the Bethel High School. And we're going to hear from them and their participation in this 2023 Inter-School Road Relay.
And now we are here with the Bethel High School here in ARNOS VALE, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where we've just witnessed the completion of the road relay Inter-Secondary School Championship 2023. Welcome Team Bethel High School. You came 7th for both boys and girls. What is this feeling like?
It's a good feeling, Jalo. We think a little much better. We feel proud of ourselves.
What were your preparations like coming into the race?
It was good. I feel confident and brave about myself.
And other teammates.
And about our teammates. We feel confident to motivate our teammates to do their best towards the race.
What was your greatest challenge on the road?
It heals them.
Hills. And it was long.
Well, all the best to you, Bethel High School, in the remaining session of the 2023 season, and we do wish you every success on the track.
Okay, thank you very much.
And that was the Bethel High School, and we are moving on as we now turn back over to Mr. Khalil Kato and Mr. Keith Joseph.
So I do believe, as thank you again, Moet, there as he wraps up his little talk there with the Bethel High School Alphas. I do believe that the girls' race, at least the top two positions, sorry about that, went as in the way that we probably would have assumed, as in Barley Secondary would have been out front, followed by Trumaka there as well. One thing I would like to say that I do like to support is the fact that some of the schools are starting to adopt mascots or nicknames. You know, it kind of lends towards a sense of identity. You know, so now you don't just have somebody who goes to Central Leeward Secondary, but they are one of the warriors of Central Leeward, or one of the Mustangs of Trumaka, the Bears of Bookerman, Gladiators of Georgetown. I can't remember what I thought West St. George was Lions, but I saw their name somewhere and I realized it wasn't actually Lions, but I can't bring what exactly I could find out what exactly the team mascot is.
The thing is that the popularity of the sport and the work that we're now getting in terms of so much events being carried by VC3 in terms of sporting activities, that lends itself to people from abroad, Vincentians abroad, saying, hey guys, why don't you do something a little different? Why don't we? So we certainly getting all the teams here. And here the girls' high school team, Moet.
Girls High School, 4th place winners in the female category of the 2023 athletics road relay race here in St. Vincent. Congratulations to you girls.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the Santa Crucian PE teacher here at the school. Tell us what were your preparations like going into this race?
Well, we had our in-house road relay prior, so the girls were busy training for their house, and we had our 3,000 event last week, so we decided that we will select our top 6 girls from the 3,000 to compete in this race. We have our star runner for the 3,000, Julie. We have Kiana. We have Grace. You might have seen her prior in the 1,500 intermediate girls. We have Kenny's, our star swimmer. Olympic swimmer, and did you reach Olympics yet, girl? Okay, all right. A fine swimmer. And we have Jaden. So we put it together. We had a plan. We stuck to the plan. Well, road races are always very difficult. But the girls walk it through. And I am especially proud of Holly, because Holly is in Form 1. And she was able to hold her leg, and I think she took down 2 persons. So overall, we are very pleased with the girls.
With a school of over 500 girls, how were you able to select only 6?
Well, you see, yes, we have a school of over 500 girls, but the 500 girls span from the Grenadines to Chateaubelair to Fancy. So sometimes it is difficult to pull together the girls. So that is why we had to use the system that we used. Because yes, we have talent in this school, but sometimes to get them to train, it is really difficult because they have to catch the boat, they have to catch the bus, and so on. So it's a challenge for us at the girls' high school. So sometimes people think that we don't take part in a lot of things, and we have so many girls, but they span very far. So it's difficult, but we try.
So tell us, how are your preparations going for the track and field events that are coming up?
Moet, we are coming. High school is coming. We are the best and we are coming.
Well, congratulations to you, young ladies, Girls High School, St. Vincent Girls High School, and we wish you all the very best in the rest of your 2023 athletics season. And good luck to you as well, Mr. Johnson, the male among the females. Yes. I'm sure you're a father figure for them here.
And he keeps us physically fit, me too.
Well, there we have it. This was the Girls High School, St. Vincent Girls High School. And now we're moving on as we head back first to studio with Khalil Kato and Keith Joseph.
Thank you very much, Moed.
Always
It's kind of
entertaining
difficult. It's
and
kind of
engaging.
difficult to keep down the indomitable Santa Cruikshank, who is the PE teacher at the Girls High School. And in thanking people, we want to thank the transport officer who's on our athletics subcommittee, who has delivered. We had enough buses today to sweep those who were behind. Everything went smoothly, and I must say that since he has come on board, he's done an excellent job in terms of working with the sports department and the Ministry of Education to ensure that whatever services he can provide, and we know it's going to be challenging coming up with the tourist season still in existence and so on, but we're keeping our fingers crossed because we may have some delays in terms of the start time of some of our heats, our preliminaries. But there's nothing else that we can do. The economy needs the tourism industry to survive. Of course. The drivers need that for survival. So we're going to have to be playing it by ear for some of these competitions. But certainly so far, the transport department has been with us and doing an excellent job. So to the police and the Red Cross. And I think, Khalil, that what we are seeing is a bumper season that is emerging for this year, and we can't wait for the Carifta trials, the inter-secondary schools heats. We expect that a number of records may very well go at the preliminary stage of this year's competitions.
And I think that one of the things that would alleviate us having to work through that bumper season is probably the sooner that we get our facilities at Diamond, if not completely completed, a little bit closer to completion, but at the very least lit, because that now would mean that we would be able to have our championships a little bit more into the evenings, which would give the transportation personnel a little more time to have to deal with tourists, if they will, during the day, and then have the,
Well, Moet is working so hard. He now has the, that's the St. Joseph's Convent,
Kingstown, yes.
Welcome back at the roadside where we have the St. Joseph's Convent Kingstown. St. Joseph's Convent Kingstown would have just completed the female division of the 2023 cross-country, the road relay race here at the Arnisville Sporting Complex. How do you feel, ladies?
Frightening. A bit frightening.
What was the race like while you were running?
It was hard, so I walked, jogged, and run. I'm coming down by the finishing line, a girl beat me back out, tell her she beat me, no way. I'm going to let them team, so had to win she. And I came in 7th.
So we have the PE teacher here with us. Just tell us what were your preparations like coming into this road relay race?
Well, for the race, we wanted to choose the best athletes from our own road relay that St. Joseph Convent had. And even for the race that we had, the cross country, we took out some athletes who ran also in the cross country. But some of our athletes, unfortunately, got sick over the last week, so we couldn't have them today. But still, I'm proud of our girls because I think we did well. We came 7th, and that's a good position.
You are also a school that just primarily girls. With a school of over 300 females, how were you able to just handpick 6 and ensure that you did so well within this race?
Well, because of our heats and the fact that I'm the PE teacher. In my class, I would know who would do well, and from our heats and from our road relay, it was kind of easy for us to choose.
What do you consider to have been your greatest challenge for the 2023 season so far?
Because this is the first sports storm after the pandemic. I think it's a bit difficult because students just getting back in the mood for sports and so forth. So you have to push more to get them back in a sports mood and that kind of stuff. So other than that, I think it's good because these girls, they love sports and they're in the mood for it. So that was kind of easy for us as well.
Well, all the best as you take it to the Diamond Athletic track for the 2023 track and the field events come end of March. Congratulations again, St. Joseph's Convent, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
We are heading back to studio side with Mr. Keith Joseph.
We want to say a very special thank to Moit for his continued hard work here this afternoon, but also to remind you that this event, we've gotten a lot of support from Corres Distribution with regard to the provision of glucose aid for all of the participating teams here today. And so we're very thankful that Corres Distribution has come on board for this event. We expect that they will be at the Inter-Schools Championships as well. We continue to try to get ready for the awards presentation, and of course Moet does have with him now the winning team, the winning female team, the Barley Secondary School Warriors as they are called. So we do expect to hear good things from the Barley Secondary School. Over to you, Moet.
We're right here back with you again, and with us are the champions in the boys section. Not the boys, the girls division, the Barley Secondary School, and second place for the boys division as well. Tell us how you feel about this race.
Feel good.
Feel good about the race. It was kind of hard, but we still make it.
Well, boys, we were looking at the race, and Georgetown had you at first. They had a very long length, and then for some reason you were able to pull back the race. Tell us what was the strategy behind that performance that you put down here today.
Yeah, in the race. We managed to stay keep close to the schools and don't give them a far distance so that we could bring back the race.
We know that you would have also done extremely well in the cross country race that was held a few weeks ago, and we know that you're the champions. You are the champions of the 2022 athletics season for both male and females across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is 2023 season. How do you feel going into this season, knowing that you are defending your title from last season?
We feel good, and we hope to hold it for the whole of 2023 and 2024. Thanks to our coach, because without him, big up Chesterman and saying he pushed me and saying that.
Well, congratulations to you, Barley Secondary School, and we wish you every success for the 2023 season that is remaining, and we hope you do your best to keep or retain your title.
Thank you.
Back over to you, Mr. Joseph and Woodruff.
Much, Moet, and we have now our one of our latest sports ambassadors to be named in St. Vincent is Woodruff Williams, who himself was a national athlete and one of our leading Caribbean technical officials. Woodrow, welcome, and we know that it's been a long time since we haven't had this event. Can you recall when last we held this relay?
I think we would have last held this relay about 10 years ago.
That was my view. Colin thought it was a little longer, but I thought it was about 10 years ago.
It would be about 10 years ago.
Yeah. And we were mindful of the fact that when we used to have the National Road Relay, that your successor, the St. Martin Secondary School, as the PE teacher, Gary Thomas, once ended up having to do one of the relay legs because the student didn't turn up.
Yes, that is true. And why I could tell it was 10 years ago, because today I have seen Sergeant Corridon, and at the time when it stopped, he was a corporal, and he was saying that why was he really stopped? It should be reintroduced And I think he should feel good today because it's reintroduced after 10 years.
I think that before the COVID, you and I had a discussion about reintroducing it, and you said you did have the support of the police, who were saying that it should be reintroduced.
Yeah, because what was happening that the schools were having their road relay, and these were the guys who were doing the actual outriding for the road relay, and they felt that it was important that we get it back on the national level.
Okay, we just take a break here as Moit does have the Sandy Bay Secondary School with him, and I'm sure that we want to hear from them.
Welcome back. We are here with the Sandy Bay Secondary School, 6th for girls and 8th for boys. How you feel about your performance, Sandy Bay?
Disappointed. I think I could have done better. Yeah.
We know that on that side of the island you are exposed to a lot of hills, and how was the preparation coming into this road relay?
The length was very long, but yeah, it was good still.
I would say the preparation going in wasn't, they didn't have much time to prepare because I'm a new teacher there at the school. I'm transferred from the Georgetown Secondary over to Sandy Bay Secondary, but I didn't have much time to work with them. Going forward, I know that they have the ability to push forward, and come next year, it's going to be a great day for them.
What do you consider to have been your major challenge in preparation for this race and the entire 2023 season? We know that the finals of the athletics coming up in March this year.
It would be facility. They're having the availability of facility that they need to use, and the time, the area in which they are. As soon as school closes, everybody's out. I just need to find the time within the school to work with them. I know that there's a lot of talent down there. I just need to tap into them. And as time progresses, I would get to know each and every one of them. I'm very proud of them. Had they listened, I know they would have been in the top 3. But going forward, I see what I have to work with, and I work on that.
Well, congratulations to you again, Sandy Bay Secondary School, and we wish you all the very best for the remaining of the 2023 athletics season. Now we head back stateside for Mr. Keith Joseph and Woodbrook.
Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you very much, Moed. Kelly, as we were saying, I mean, how do you feel now that you've seen the reintroduction of the rodeo? What you thought about today's event?
Well, Keith, this to me was a sense of satisfaction that it has actually happened, because we have not over the past couple of years been really paying attention to road racing, and it was a fall off. But I think road racing is here to stay, and just the reintroduction of this race is going to spur on a renewed interest in road racing. So it's only good will come from this.
The other thing too, Washo, is that, I mean, generally in sport we have always had a tremendous amount of athletes coming out of the rural areas, and the results today reflect that continuity.
Yeah, because they don't really have access to the facilities. What they have access to is the road.
Yeah.
And once they could run on the road, run on the beach, you would always see the strength coming out in them. And it is nothing short of amazing that they have been able to do this using the little that they have. And I could see it going from strength to strength, because the primary schools are having road relays, for their school sports. And you see the talent coming out, the determination from the rural schools. And all we could do is try now to harness it. I wish more of the secondary schools would pay attention to the primary schools, and they can start recruiting from there.
Like Mikili, you were here for the cross country a few weeks ago, and we saw the Trumaka Ontario dominate the males, winning from Barley Secondary, and in the females, Barley Secondary. But we saw that George Stevens and George Chung were making some. Did you expect George Chung Secondary to come and win the boys today?
Yes, I expected it, because they're not going to challenge on the track.
Yeah.
So they have to win somewhere else. And if you notice, Georgetown has been growing by leaps and bounds in school sports. They got into the football finals. The netballers are doing good. So something is working with their program. And we need to give them credit for that.
In case you're wondering why I'm holding the Lucozade, it's because Correct Distribution did make this drink available, the Lucozade available to all of the participants in today's event. And again, we want to say thank you to Correct Distributors for doing so. We want to again say thanks to the National Lotteries Authority for their sponsorship of our annual inter-school championships, both inter-primary and inter-secondary. And we are waiting for the start of the official presentation. But Woodrow, look, we were out of the sport arena for 2 full years. Last year, a number of schools didn't participate because they weren't really in the nick of things in terms of their preparations. What you've seen so far for 2023, what is your prognosis?
My prognosis is going to be good. It's going to be good. I know, for example, that Union Island, Stephanie Brown, they have already had their sports since last year. They're into training, so I could see the primary school being really competitive. The secondary school, it's getting there. Everybody, this is when you look at it, this now is just school sports for this whole week. Next week, it's going to be school sports, and I guess people are going to be selecting their inter-school teams and trying to get them in the best possible shape.
One of the things about Stephanie Brown, as you mentioned, is over the last several years, you have seen them lift the bar. They were among the first to come out in full track suits.
Full spikes.
They all didn't have the shoes. You remember that year they marched past in full track suit with bare feet?
Yeah.
And then they always had their own little rhythm section that they wanted. And then they moved to last year coming with a training track suit and a competition
yeah.
track suit, you know. And it was amazing last year to see them touching the surface to feel something that they hadn't felt before in order to, so you can imagine that they would want to come up early this time to ensure that they maintain their dominance of the inter-primary competition.
I think they have already made arrangements for coming up before, coming up before the meet, so that they could get it going. But what I like about Union Island, and not only Stephanie Brown, but Mary Hutchinson, and to a lesser extent the secondary school, is that they have been having their sports online, so that the persons in the diaspora could follow it. And they have been the ones who have been providing them with the equipment, the track suits, the spikes, everything to make certain that they are, properly prepared for the meet. And they're doing that. I wish more the past students or the communities would gather around their school sports and promote it.
And the past students who are living in the diaspora.
Yes, most definitely. I know St. Martin's tries it, but they do it for football. I wish they could do it for track and field. I wish the girls' high school alumni could do it. Grammar school. If we look, and I don't want to really sound anyway, but if we look at what happens in Jamaica, their school sports, they're really financed by the past students. And to them, it's a bragging right because they feel proud of being, I was a part of this school, and now look what my school is doing.
They contribute track shoes, they contribute shoes, they contribute gloves for cricket, pads, etc., etc.
Calabar built a track. Calabar past students built a track.
And one of the big things that we have noticed even in team athletics competitions recently is that we saw Brighton Primary, we saw Pamela's Burke, we saw Cattell's coming to participate in, so you know that they are looking at a better level of preparation for their championship.
But Kit, at one time, Brighton was one of the schools that was always involved. There's a fall off. They fell away, nothing happened. This year they're back. They had a road really. They're doing everything possible. And it could only augur well for the development of sport. And a lot of people get fooled by thinking that only the slow people can be involved in sports. But sports helps everybody. Everybody. When we look at Javon Blake with 16 subjects, and we know that what can happen. But we try to say, well, marginalize the athletes. No, they bring pride and glory to the school.
Yeah, remember the youngster from Fitzhughes, who at Fitzhughes Primary, topped the list and ended up in grammar school. He was a top athlete at Fitzhugh, and he went on and he was one of the leading athletes at the grammar school in last year's competition.
Yeah, but
and he's now at community college.
But this is it.
Competing.
But we look at Nicky Peters, for example. So we need to understand that what comes out of inter-school is not just talent, but immense potential for development, growth and development that can and would help the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And we've got Handel Roman. Handel Roman has come out and last year in the Ken Relays set a record that was there since 123 years ago when the event started. And it was no wonder then that Penn State went after him with a scholarship.
Yeah, because that's how it is. That
event as well as the cross-country championship will go towards the overall inter-schools athletics points total. All right, so the schools that would have won first, second, and third in the cross-country a few weeks ago, and the schools that placed first, second, and third here this afternoon have already gotten out to a lead as it relates to the inter-schools athletics championships, the championship day, of course, coming up on March 30th. Again, we want to say thanks to the National Lotteries Authority, the title sponsor of the event once again, and we also want to acknowledge and say thank you for the participation of Careers Distribution Limited. They will also be presenting, as part of the prizes, a case of Gatorade to the winning teams. All right, so congratulations to you as well. So we want to jump straight into the event. We want to say welcome to those of you who might be just tuning in here this afternoon. Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. So it's a case of Lucozade. I don't know why I said Gatorade. Lucozade complements Careers Distribution Limited. My apologies there, and thank you for the correction. So as we jump straight into the presentation for the females race, we want to ask the Education Officer for Physical Education and Sport, Ms. Rosamond Griffith, to please step forward to assist with the presentation of the trophies and medals for this category. And again, we remind you that the teams getting first, second, and third are going to be taking the points into the championship, the Intersecondary Schools Championship on March 30th. Remember, the days of heats are March 16th and 15th and 16th, sorry. And then the championship days on March 17th. All right, so we're going to go straight into the presentation of the medals and the trophies. We start, of course, with the females, the ladies, as we have Miss Griffith here to present. And we start, of course, with third place. Let me make sure I could see. So third place for the girls category goes to the Georgetown Secondary School. So Georgetown, step forward, please. So again, they're being presented with their medals and of course their third place trophy by the Ms. Rosamond Griffith of the Ministry of Education, National Reconciliation, the Education Officer responsible for physical education and sport. So again, Georgetown has already secured a few points going into the Inter-Schools Athletics Championships and the third place trophy there to Georgetown. So congratulations to you and your team. So congratulations on your third place finish, Georgetown. We move on to the second place team, and these are the Mustangs of the Trumuka, Ontario Secondary. So medals are now their second place trophy. Congratulations to you, Trumuka, Ontario Secondary. And your winner of the Girls Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championship Road Relay event for 2023, the Barrowley Secondary School Warriors. And of course, by chance, Barrowley will be having their Inter-House Athletics Championship on February 26th at the National Stadium at Diamond. So they're being presented with their gold medals and will also be presented with their first place trophy. And then they will also be presented with a case of Lucozade by Mr. Sean Dopwell of Careers Distribution Limited. All right, so as Mr. Dopwell makes his way around, the case of Gatorade goes towards the winning team. Lucozade. I say Gatorade again? I'm just making sure you're listening. I'm just making sure you're listening. All right. So that's that. Thank you very much, Miss Rosamond Griffith, there of the ministry. And now, we'll, so we have our representative there from Careers Distribution, John Paul Antoine, will do the honors of presenting the presentations for the boys as well as the winning case of Lucozade. So for the boys, in third place, we have the Trumuka, Ontario Secondary School. Yes, third place for the boys. So the Trumuka girls are here, but the boys gone? Okay, well, we'll move right along, and we have now second place, Barrowley Secondary School. Barrowley, step up. So it's silver to Barrowley, and of course, Barrowley would have already secured but this. Okay, we'll just verify that, but in the meantime, we have so we might have just had a misprint, and we may have just had a Steve Harvey moment there, but we'll confirm that. But we have Barrowley Secondary in the silver medal position, presented there with their trophy and medals. And of course, the winning school for the 2023 Road Relay, the Georgetown Secondary School Gladiators. All right. All right, so we'll get the next medal afterwards. And we have the trophy back there as they decide who will receive the trophy on behalf of the team. And of course, we have the case of Lucasade, which will go to the winning team, the, again, Georgetown Secondary. So one more prize, all courtesy Couriers Distribution Limited. Remember, Lucasade compliments Couriers Distribution. All right, just to make a correction, so the third place team is actually the St. Martin's Secondary School. So St. Martin's, my apologies. That was a mistake on my part. It's actually St. Martin's finishing third here this afternoon. And not Trumaka, as was previously announced. So my humblest apologies to the St. Martin's team. And as well for to Trumaka as well for the confusion. So we'll just do the presentation of the trophy, of the medals here and the trophy to the two guys who were here from the St. Martin's Secondary School. So congratulations to you guys, and thank you very much, Mr. Antoine of Couriers Distribution Limited. Thank you as well to the National Lotteries Authority, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you viewing us here this afternoon via VC3 and their various components. Remember, once again, the athletics championships continue on March 15th and 16th with the heats at the Sir Vincent Beach National Stadium, and then we'll have the championship day on March 30th. Again at the Sir Vincent Beach National Stadium, an event that we are sure and we can confirm will be brought to you live once again on the VC3 platforms. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you as this brings us to the end of the 2023 Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championship Road Relay. And thank you again to VC3 and the National Lotteries Authority, to the members of the media for being here and covering this major school event this afternoon. And we look forward, of course, for more in the future. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Khalil Kato signing out. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a good evening.
Yes, welcome back. Here with me is Miss Simone Richardson, Head of Competitions Unit within the Department of Sports here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Ms. Richardson, just give us an update of the happenings that we've seen so far for the Inter-Secondary School Championship 2023 and what is left to come.
Okay, for 2023 we've had the Inter-Secondary School Cross Country, which was very successful. And today we are seeing the completion of the Inter-Secondary School Road Relay, which was very well attended, I must say, and very well patronized. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Courage's distributors to coming on board with their brand Lucozade today to support this event, and we saw that more schools participated in the Inter-Secondary School Road Relay, and you know, that giving a little buzz. There is a little buzz and a little hype now. People are really ready for the track and the field events.
Just give us a reminder of the dates for the track and field, as we know it's not too far.
Well, actually, the very first track and field events in terms of the Heats Day would be on February 28th. That would be the turn of Zone A in the inter-primary school competition. Zone C, would have their chance on March 2nd, followed by Zone C on March 7th, and March 9th would see the turn of Zone D. The Inter-Secondary School Championships Heats Day 1 would be on March 15th and Day 2 March 16th. And as you know, on those 2 days we have all of the schools participating. The male would be doing their field events while the females do their track events on day 1, and on day 2 it would be the other way around, where the male would be on the track and the females do their field events on day 2.
We have seen the 2022 champions in both male and female barely secondary coming out and dominating this year so far in both the cross country and as well as the road relay that just completed here today. What are the prospects like, not just for barely secondary but also the other participating schools so far?
Well, I know that Barley is out front right now, but I've been getting threats up to last night. I mean, I was at my master sitting, and 2 PE teachers happened to pass me from 2 different schools, and you know, they're saying, hey, you know, if they think they come in and it coming easy for them like that, this year would be more competitive because more schools are participating, and I think everybody is bringing their A game. From the looks of it, from the threats that I've been getting, everybody is bringing their A game, so Barley has to look out.
We are yet to see participation from the schools within the Grenadines. What may have been the cause for this?
I mean, I am very saddened by this. I have tried to talk to them, getting them out, but they're saying preparation, they weren't ready for these events. But definitely they would be for the track and field events. They've already signed their registration forms and everything is in. We are in preparation for their participation from both Northern and Southern Grenadines for the main track events.
Well, congratulations on the activities that have taken place so far, and we take this opportunity to wish the sports department every success as they progress for the rest of the 2023 athletics season.
Thank you very much, and I also want to say a big thank you to VC3 and API and all other media houses that covered today and all the events that has passed. We are very grateful, and we saw today, because of your presence, I mean, people were calling me, telling me they're seeing things that we could have done a little better, and you know, I am so happy for that. And on the radio in the week, one of the media houses was saying that they don't think that sports has been covered enough. So I am very, very grateful. The government on St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and specifically the Department of Sports, we are indeed grateful to have you guys on board, and hope that we'll see you for the rest of the season. Thank you very much.
Well, there we have it. We have just witnessed the 2023 road relay race here at the ARNOS Sporting Complex, where the race culminated, and we are signing out here as the 2023 athletics season for St. Vincent and the Grenadines among the schools. Height News. Moet Games signing out.